Yo, it's me, it's the SCOTT baby, and I'm back with my review of the 2018 film Ant-Man The Wasp, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and is directed by Peyton Reed. Okay, first and foremost, I had this cup. You know, I'm putting other decorations out for my reviews. I had this cup for the original Ant-Man. Forgot to put it out in that review. So it's going to sit here. And then I have this tin that has both Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, I figured since I had the Ant-Man one there with the Wasp here, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay? I try decorations for certain things. And, it works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's just like Ant-Man. It's a fun movie. One thing I didn't mention. So Scott Lang, Ant-Man in this version, he has a daughter named Cassie. I almost said a son named Cassie. A daughter named Cassie, and I can relate to that because I have a son that I have visitation time here. So it seems that I forgot to mention this in my Avengers Infinity War review. So Ant-Man and Hawkeye, or Scott and Clint, they took a deal where they're under house arrest. Okay. So they're under house arrest. And so when this movie starts, Scott's under house arrest. And he has nothing to do with the Pims. Because apparently when he did what he did with Captain America in Civil War, it was a big no-no. And they sort of let him go, I guess, until he starts having dreams of the quantum realm, and not only the quantum realm, but also memories that are being given to him by Janet Van Dyne, Hope's mother. So, once he contacts them, they sneak him out, they attach his little band thing to an ant so it looks like he didn't leave the apartment, and so this movie basically is about trying to get Janet back, which I figured it would be, but it's a MacGuffin film because there's the lab, which Hank shrinks down. Okay, so in the first Ant-Man, we learn that if you shrink something down, it still maintains its mass, which is why Scott can still punch like a human when he's this small. However, Hank had a tank on a keychain in the first one that he grew to big size. Now, if that was an actual tank, it'd be harder than hell. You couldn't put that in your pocket. It'd be heavy as hell. And here, he's got a box full of mini cars that he can just take, put down, grow real large. That doesn't make any sense. They would weigh as much as cars would. And the lab shrinks down and you have a little pull thing you can carry it around like certain book bags do. Again, it would weigh like an entire fucking building. So it makes no sense. Well, when they disregard the rules in their own first film, when they established said rules, they just disregarded it, and so it makes no sense now how Scott, this little, can pack so much of a punch when the mass of an entire building can just be picked up when it's shrunk. It makes no sense. Yeah. It just makes no sense. His daughter doesn't listen. She wants to bring the trophy that she gave him that says world's greatest grandma as show and tell. One, why would you want to do that? I don't get. The only thing I can think of is it was an excuse to have an extra scene in the film. And they do, because that's where he put the suit. And so they used that because she took it to school, so they have to sneak in, and his suit's all going wacko because it's a new suit, it's in development, and he's like the size of a little kid running around and he takes it out and the suit. Leaves the trophy, because, but the three other guys, Michael Pena, T.I., and David Dastmalchian, they are, well, their names are, hold on. I know Dave, that's T.I.'s character, and Kurt, that's Dastmalchian's character, but I forgot Michael Pena's character, but they're working with Scott. He can't leave his apartment, or house, whatever. They have a security firm now called X-Con. X-Con. Really? And so here's my thing. There's an FBI agent played by Randall Park who's constantly chasing him around through the movie, trying to prove that Scott Lang is out there being Ant-Man. And here's the problem I have. Luis, that's his name, he's driving around in a van that says X-Con on the side of it. There's your proof. Duh, but they never point that out. In fact, they act like, there's nothing you can do about it because you can't prove it. There could be witnesses out there that saw the van that said X-Con. I'm just saying. And, there's not much I want to talk about when it comes to the action. You have like 3 different factions that are off after this thing, right? So it's Ant-Man and the Pims. Sounds like a weird band. They're after the lab. There's Ghost, which is her character's name, which is the villain, sort of. And they go to talk to an old friend of Hank's named Bill, played by Larry Fishburne. Turns out he's in league with Ghost, and she's phasing in and out. It was an experiment her father did when she was younger, and it caused her, I think it killed her father, but it caused her to phase in and out. And so she needs the lab to cure herself. But they need the lab to save Janet. And there's another guy named Sonny Birch, played by Walton Goggins, I couldn't remember the name, who's also after it. Why? Because he wants technology, of course. Because somehow he's got friends at the FBI that he figures out, because she's going under the name of Susan, she's getting all this stuff from them. And he figures out that she's Hope Van Dyne, but they end up getting apart anyway to finish this thing. Here's my problem. I said in the first one that Hank was too old to use the technology. But yet he's the one that goes in to save Janet. So it's confusing. And then he starts to have hallucinations and she's there. Another thing. They say over and over again that time works differently in the quantum realm. In fact, they mentioned in Endgame that we'll wait on that. But they mentioned that time passes differently. Yet, Janet is the exact age she should be at this point in time. 65, 70 years old. And that makes no sense to me. She should be younger. Okay, so, say it's been since the 80s when this happened, right? Maybe even the 70s when this happened. So, no, it's gotta be the 80s, because Hank, it's gotta be the late 70s or the 80s. And she's been gone. And they do a great job. Beginning of this, they show them young, before they're ready to leave, and they look great. The CGI with this it's really good. Make them look younger. Although I can tell that Michelle Pfeiffer is a little bit different, I guess. I don't know. But looks very good. And they show her going in. And I'm like, okay, so... But yet she's exactly how old she's supposed to be, even if she didn't go in there. So it makes no sense to me. They say time works differently. Why did she age? Like, I mean, I know it would be weird if she looked exactly the same as she did when she went in, and say, "Oh, I've only been in there for 5 years," which would have been interesting. But they didn't want to do that, I guess. And if that was the case, they wouldn't have hired Michelle Pfeiffer. They would have hired a younger actress. You know what I mean? But yeah, wait. Dark Knight Rises came out in 2013. Why did you say 2012? Now you got me thinking. Sorry, something popped up. But yeah, it's confusing. So you get this lighthearted movie, very good. You have this thing at the end where they play "Come Along" is the song that we're singing. Come on, get happy. A whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. Come on, get happy. And everything. And you show Hank, he's got their old house and he makes it grow. And everything's happy. And there's this talk with the daughter. When she wants to grow up, she wants to be like her dad. She said she wants to be his partner, but he says hope is. And they're at a drive-in, but they're shrunk and there's a giant moth on them. It's really a regular sized moth, but they're little, so it's all happy, and the movie ends, and everything's happy. And then we get the mid-credits scene. And Scott's going to go inside the quantum realm to get energy to save Ghost. At the end of this all, Ghost and Bill are on their own. Which, the dad's a sort of cure for her. Like, I think they stabilized her towards the end. But you really got to question whether or not she's really still alive now, because of everything that's happened between this point and Endgame. The only thing I could think of is if she was snapped away too, and then she was brought back. It's the only thing that would make sense. We'll get to the whole thing in Endgame when we get there, but I'm just saying. And they say they're going to get this stuff for Ghost. But before they can bring Scott out of there, and all three of them, which I found very annoying the first time I watched this. Like, really? What are the chances that all three of them get snapped out? Really? Especially since you just established Wasp, by the way, and she gets snapped. My opinion is Wasp should have stayed. Now, yes, that diminishes Ant-Man's presence in the film. But, think of this. She just got her mom back. Now she loses both her mom and her dad like that. These movies are good at doing drama, right? But I understand why they had all three of them disappear. Although, when he gets brought back, we'll talk about that once they get to Endgame, but I'm just saying. But yeah, this movie's fun until you get to the end and it's like, oh, well, the fun's over now. Snap, poof. Wait till we get to the beginning of Endgame. But yeah, Ant-Man The Wasp is pretty good. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's more the same from the first Ant-Man. I love the characters from the Ant-Man universe, so I was ready to see this. If you go in expecting this to be some kind of grand story, piggybacking off of the events of Endgame or Infinity War, it's not. It actually takes place like during, maybe even a little before the events. You gotta think. This takes place in San Francisco. So far away from the stuff that happened in New York and then Wakanda when you talk about Earth-based stuff. So, it's far away from where everything is taking place. So it could happen at the same time. Like, there's no really news story in the background playing or anything. And I think it's good that they separate it from that. Like, when you deal with what happened at the end of Infinity War, you need some separation. Like, you need a nice, fun little movie, you know. And that's what this is. You don't need something too serious after that. You go in and actually, it was good this came out when it did. Nice little fun movie. It's great. So 8 out of 10. 8. So what are your thoughts on Ant-Man The Wasp? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. And the next one, we're going back to the 90s. Come as you are. As you